Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Talking Hands. I'm the Prodigal Fool. I'm here with my co-blogger on the Prodigal Guide, Straight Six.
Hey guys.
We're here with a couple of essential accessories, a bottle of fairly run-of-the-mill Zinfandel, and a far more impressive watch by a British brand that we've only relatively recently discovered. We met them and sat down with them at Baselworld this year. We posted about it at the time. And we've got what I think is probably the model from their range, which certainly to my eyes best represents what this brand is all about. This is the Bremont MB II. There was, for the inquisitive amongst you, a MB I. Quite an unusual watch in that in order to be allowed to buy one, you apparently had to have survived being ejected from a Martin Baker ejector seat on a plane.
Oh, how easy!
Yes. So as you can imagine, the market for that first model quite small.
Okay.
So they're not stupid, the lads at Bremont. They thought maybe we should expand the demographic, and they produced this MB II, which putts like you or I could walk into a shop and buy.
Good.
It has a Swiss-made movement. The boys at Bremont are a little bit coy about who makes their movement. They say it's Swiss-made. They call it the BE36A. It's an automatic chronometer movement. The case is pretty special. It has what they call the triptych case design, and I guess really the most obvious manifestation of that is this really interesting case barrel that you see. The model we've got here, as you can see, is coloured in orange, but what's quite funky about this is that they also do different colours. They do green, I think they do a black one. The MB1, if I'm not mistaken, had a red
it's
barrel.
Red.
That's how you tell the special one. And there may be a couple more.
Lovely design detail on the two
crowns.
Yes,
some lovely detailing. We'll get to talk about that in a second.
Okay.
Water resistant to 100 meters, anti-shock movement, etc. A really sturdy, functional tool watch stroke pilot's watch.
Agreed.
This is the Bremont MB II. I think there were three standout good features, and the first to me is this thing is built like a brick shithouse, to use a favourite expression of my old man.
Could not agree more.
Bremont have some slightly more respectable language. They say it's tested beyond endurance. End result is the same. The point is this thing feels uber solid. I mean, you know, as we just said, it's designed to survive being ejected from a Martin Baker ejection seat, for goodness sake. The complete movement and mechanism of the watch has been designed to float in a controlled manner within the case. And so they enclose the movement in an inner case that's also connected to the outer case solely by a flexible ring.
Okay, so all this is designed basically to take as much shock and pressure and impact as you can possibly throw it, right?
And anyone who's interested in understanding exactly how that happens should go and check out the video that we posted of Peter Roberts, Bremont's technical director.
He gave a great explanation, yeah.
It's brilliant, but you know, basically what they're saying is shocks to the watch basically allow the inner case movement to float and absorb much of the shock energy. They've got this really sophisticated shock-absorbing system on the regulating organs, and something that Bremont claim is a proprietary thing of theirs, the shock-absorbing rotor.
Very quickly, the only thing I wanted to interject is, you know, in this day and age where I think both you and I have commented sometimes about the slightly flimsy characteristics of even very well-known brand watches, I have resolutely failed to find anything that feels less than 110% on the watch.
Oh, no, that's
right.
So
whether it's the crowns, whether it's the handling, whether it's the finish of it, whether it's its triptych construction, I mean, wherever you and I have looked and touched and felt and seen it, is there a weakness anywhere? Found nothing.
No, it feels rock solid. And there are other sort of lovely details, like there are, according to Bremont, I can well believe it, there are 9 layers of anti-reflective coating on this sapphire crystal.
And hey, listen, the proof is we've got overhead lights here. If I look at it, bang on,
no
I can read everything perfectly on the dial. So guess what? No BS there.
The whole innards are protected by a totally sealed Faraday cage as well, apparently. And it just all adds up to a watch that just feels rock solid, and you have full confidence this thing will see you through anything that you want to throw at it. And there's a lot to be said for that. You know, this is a tool watch, and that's exactly what you want from a tool watch.
Fully agree.
You want to strap it to your wrist and not worry about it.
Well, and also, by the way, they've sold this on the premise of its ability to survive ejection seat standards, right, with applying. So the G-forces must be incredible.
What's the harshest thing that's ever happened to you and I? I was ejected from a bar once.
And I was ejected from my own bed once.
Yeah.
But, I mean, apart
So, you know, this will see you through.
Yeah, guys, don't worry about it. You'll be absolutely fine. Go ahead, Tony.
The second good point I wanted to mention is there were some innovative and fairly unique features. So that they weren't just content to say we're going to build something that's going to see you through anything. We're also going to inject a little bit of innovation and fun into this thing. I mean, the most obvious example of that is on the dial here. There's a rotating inner bezel. Right, which includes a sort of ball-click locking system that you activate here with the
great movement.
Push. Yeah,
it's a great
lovely
movement,
feel,
guys.
which you've got to experience for yourself. But
can I ask you something? Any play? Can you just show us? Is there any play?
There's a little bit of play, but you can
not...
feel the balls clicking into place, so it's very accurate. You know exactly when you've clicked and when you haven't clicked.
Good.
And that's lovely. I've never seen that before. That's quite a complicated thing to achieve. You turn this, and the inner bezel turns. That's
there's some older watches like that, in things like the Polaris and others. Do you remember they've got even the
but
IWC.
Not at that angle, right? I mean, this is at a sort of 45-degree angle from the dial.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Wouldn't know, and somebody amongst you would
not
probably
for the
know
first
better.
time we've reached the limits of our technical knowledge. And the other thing, of course, is just
look it up.
The side of the case. You know, this lovely case that they've got, this triptych case design, allows them to produce this case barrel in different colours.
So can I say something about this? It begs the question, why hasn't anybody else thought about doing this before? And by the way, once again, limits of our knowledge, maybe one of you will tell us somebody has. To the best of my knowledge, nobody's done that before.
No,
but why?
I don't know, but it's a lovely feature, and it lifts what could otherwise have been fairly dull,
it's a flat design,
functional-looking watch.
Yeah.
When you wear it, whether it be with jeans and a t-shirt or underneath a three-piece suit,
all you got to do is cock it in an angle.
Every now and again you get a little
boom,
flash of that
and look
colour.
at this.
Comes in green.
That's fabulous. Maybe black.
Red, black.
A couple of colours.
For my money, the orange is the coolest colour.
Yeah, guys, we fully agree. Orange is absolutely magnificent.
So, pretty unique, pretty innovative. The final good point that I noted, which is going to sound a bit abstract and certainly very subjective, but it's important to me, is the Britishness of this thing. Right. So anyone who understands horology a little bit knows that the British have a fairly illustrious history when it comes to horology. I mean, we pretty much damn well invented the concept. We came up with the ship's chronometer, and it all came from there.
And the pocket watch, you were totally unable to make the move to wristwatches. Apart from that, you guys were magnificent.
And abject failure after that. No, but it's of course the Swiss now dominate, but there's a history with the British in watchmaking, and it's lovely to see a small British company reviving, at least in part, some of that. Now, you'll say to me these are Swiss movements inside. Yeah, true, but Bremont are doing some pretty impressive stuff, including their own ship's chronometer, which is purely made in the UK. And you can see where this is going. They clearly want to sort of revive the Britishness of watchmaking, and I admire that. And I think in a world where, we're not stupid, we all know that watch marketing is as much about history and provenance as it is about the actual tangible value of the product. And
sure.
Any watch nerds bought into that long ago, and so in that context, being British and being run by some really charming, lovely people. I mean,
the English brothers, by the way.
the guys at Bremont are just a delight to deal with, and I think when you're spending a substantial amount of money on a watch, that's a nice differentiator. So that's my third good.
We're all kind of drowning to a certain extent within the Swiss watch industry, and so it is indeed very refreshing to find somebody from elsewhere providing an offering, a watch, a brand, a concept that's as competitive with anything that they offer. In addition, you and I have talked about this beforehand, the tool watch as a concept is dying for a lot of brands. So our previous reference, Rolex, I think for you and I, in a lot of ways, has resolutely failed to deliver of late in this respect, if I can be so bold to say.
If you want a proper tool watch, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so this is where brands like Bremont and others, I think, are rising from the bottom, providing alternatives that the space has been vacated by, until then, premium brands that have moved on to other areas and other tastes.
Yeah.
I admire that.
Yeah, very true.
Now,
very true.
You know what comes next, right? It's the bad.
Yeah, the bad, and we've said it before, we try always to force ourselves to find 3 good points and 3 bad points, and we've done so. And to be clear, I don't think that the bad points come close to overweighing the good points. But
we agree, but
we have a format.
They're there.
Damn it.
We're going to do it.
We're almost German here. We're going to stick to it no matter what. So the bad. There is a certain amount of fussiness in the dial design. So just to illustrate that in a very tangible way, you've got a very clear legible, tool-like dial, and yet, to my eyes at least, there's just these flourishes of colour. There's just a bit too much of it. You've got a red triangle here in the middle.
There are 4.
Well, yeah,
I want to see whether you're going to go through them.
So there's a red triangle here in the middle, just below the logo, for no apparent reason. There's also a red triangle here at the top. Now that obviously marks the beginning of the what would you call it?
The elapsed time, or whatever it is.
Time measurement.
Okay.
Then you've got, the end of the second hand is punctuated in red, and then the other side of the second hand is punctuated with the yellow.
And then there's this down the bottom. So there's actually 5 different design elements that we're being drawn to.
We're being picky, but I just look and I think, whoa, actually, guys, tone it down just a little. Take away 3 of these. Just leave 1 as your punctuation mark. It feels like a designer who wasn't just quite confident enough to just stop. And it's a trap, by the way, that even the great brands like, more recently Rolex have,
of course,
not only fallen into, but beyond redemption.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's not unique to Bremont by any means, but I just think refine it just a little bit and just turn it down just a tiny bit.
Yeah, and so to that point, I'd follow on from it and say simply that in a bid to try and make the design as an overall as subdued as possible, what she then faced was, well, how are we going to counterbalance that? And so we're going to throw 5 different flourishes of design or colour.
Absolutely. You know what I was reminded of when I looked at this is, of course, the brand that I associate with the best execution of the pilot's watch is still IWC.
IWC, yeah.
And in their latest, I say latest, I think they did it like 2, 3, maybe even 4 years ago
Pilot's
now,
Chrono?
when they brought out the new range of pilot's watches, and they updated all of them slightly. And what they did is they put a little flourish of red on every single dial, and it was typically the tip of the sub-dial on the second hand. That's all they did.
Yeah.
And that stands out at you, and it's hugely effective. This is just a tiny bit messy. I have a second bad, and that is that there is a slight colour clash. So, again, I'm really highlighting how anal I am, but the orange is, I've already said, the best feature on this watch. I love the touch of orange here on the side of the case, but it clashes with the red markings on the dial. And Mrs. Fool said the same thing. She said, why didn't they match this colour with the colour there? And, okay, well, we know why, because that means producing different parts, and it's hugely expensive to do that, and that's why they didn't do it, but I'd love to see them do that. Okay,
so having said that, I would go a step further, and I would say, look, English bros, I know it's going to be expensive, I know it wouldn't be easy, but the whole sense for me, the whole continuity between having your case barrel of a certain colour is that you're able to find a colouring that picks up on it in the dial itself.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, it doesn't need to match. You're right, but it needs to not clash, and the red and the orange clash.
There you go.
Get the green version, and it works beautifully.
I'm sure it would work fine. Get the black. Yeah. Once again, there's no issue. But whatever colour you're going to be able to offer on the side here on the barrel, you need to make sure that there is no issue with the colours that are there. Yeah. And by the way, you and I have already said beforehand, what we'd like to do is see a simplification of the colouring and the design emphasis on the dial. Okay.
I have one final bad.
Go ahead.
My third bad. It's not an IWC pilot's watch.
You're really stuck on this IWC pilot's watch,
let me tell you why I say that. To me, the joy of the IWC pilot's watch is that it absolutely nails it when it comes to being the sort of, I often use this expression, which I think I invented, is the sort of passe-partout watch, go anywhere, do anywhere, any circumstance it works. I always apply it to the Submariner. The IWC pilot's watches are that. You can genuinely wear them jeans and t-shirt, or you can wear them with a suit.
You sure about that?
The IWC, yes. Now, to me, this is just a little bit too rugged, a little bit too macho, a little bit too...
Do you find this too flashy? I mean, if you're going along with that theme, then what you're saying to me is it's actually a little too present.
I totally accept that loads of people will be watching this. Well, 2 or 3 viewers will be watching this, thinking he's totally
Thank you, Chris 1 and Chris 2.
and too conservative. But for my taste... No, I wouldn't wear this to a business meeting if I was wearing a suit. It's just that little bit too rugged. Whereas I would happily, proudly wear an IWC pilot's watch. So if you're looking for a watch which is sort of your only watch that will sort of be
by the way,
in any circumstance, I don't think this is it.
Okay, so hold on, but they're not hugely apart in price either, which is that's why you're mentioning it, right? They're not that far apart.
Actually, you're right. No, you're right.
They're within spitting distance.
Yep.
So, look, I mean, so you were talking about the bad as well. I think that's what I would probably close with is... Look, it's an exceptional product. It's extremely exclusive. It's from an English brand. This is all highly unusual and very desirable. But as the Fool has just rightfully pointed out, you're going up against something like an IWC Pilot's Chrono, which really sets a standard in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I think that as a result, this is why the bad points that we've tried to put forth, we feel should rightfully be addressed in order to give it that slight edge over something as well established as the Pilot's Chrono.
Yeah. On the other hand, this is clearly addressing a different market. I'm just going to do the obligatory wrist shot because, as usual,
Chris 1, Chris 2, we can't remember which. One of them asked us, please put the damn thing on your wrist and show us what it looks like. By the way, Fool, what's the case diameter on this baby?
43 millimeters, apparently.
It does not look like it.
It doesn't feel like that at all.
To me, it looks almost like a 40.
Yeah,
I would never have said it's a 43.
It feels chunky and definitely pretty masculine, but it's not. It doesn't feel like 43.
And by the way, guys, we'll show you some static shots which show this to better effect, but these sloping, almost slightly melted lugs, to me, help really detract from that original size, which may put most people off.
Yeah.
So when they say 43, you think, wow,
no,
that's
it's
a
great
really
size.
huge base.
I happen to be wearing my Panerai today, and,
yeah, well, look
and
at
this
that, baby.
just feels like big, chunky, and awkward. And this is a 44.
So that's only 1 millimeter more.
Yeah, apparently.
Look at this.
And yet,
guys,
put them on the wrist, and the Panerai has always felt sort of bling and unpleasant, whereas the Bremont feels perfect.
All right, now a quick question. Comfortable? Not comfortable? Could be improved?
It's not comfortable when you first start wearing it. This is not a sample, this is a brand new model, and as a result, the leather strap that came with it is pretty tough.
Okay.
But that's not a criticism, because this feels like a really good quality leather strap, and you just know it's going to get softer with time and with use. So,
all right.
Yeah, use it.
We'll cut them lots of slack. Now look, it's the bottom line.
Bottom line.
Let's do it.
Would I buy one?
Yeah.
Yes, I absolutely would. I have, I guess, two things that give me pause here.
Mm-hmm.
The first is, I have a feeling, and by the way, I have absolutely no inside information about this.
Okay.
I think you're going to see Bremonts in the future which are completely homemade, made on British soil, and perhaps with their own in-house movements. I may be wrong, but they've sort of started that with their marine clock, and the marine clock is what, really? It's a brand promotional device and surely a test bed for their own movement capabilities.
It's a little bit bigger than a restaurant.
Of course, but where you got to start. So this is pure speculation, and I'm.
And he likes to speculate, folks.
and so that's what would sort of make me pause at the moment, is because I can't help thinking they're going to come up with their own.
Hold on, but let me come through what you're saying. What you're basically saying is you'd be ready to buy another iteration of this watch. You'd like to see it go through some changes and improvements, and then you buy it. Or would you buy it now?
I'm saying I'd be sorely tempted to buy it now. Let's make no mistake, this is a wonderful watch as it is.
Okay.
We force ourselves to come up with some criticisms because that's what we do on this show, but I would be happy and proud to own this today. Absolutely. I'm just saying, I can't help thinking that you may see an in-house movement in this in the future. And tiny detail, but if I was going to buy one, I would probably go for a brown strap. When we met Nick at Baselworld, he had a gorgeous, what he called an antique finished brown strap on his watch, which
to die for.
As I understand, is one of their straps. It's not, it's not a
it's to die for, guys,
and it's wonderful, and that's the strap I'd go for. But I mean, I would. This is it's not often that we trial watches that I would actually want to buy, and that is one of them.
All right, so you asked the question, would you buy one? So I think I should probably the very important caveat, which is, as the Fool and most of you will know, I was not a fan of Bremont originally when we came across them at Baselworld. I was completely won over. Give us a break from the Swiss, guys. Let the English go to work.
Literally, in the case of Nick and Giles. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us for Talking Hands.
Guys.
Tune in, I was going to say next week.
Next week, but
we have to do another one next week.
Oh, Christ.
Tune in next time. We'll still be drinking. We'll certainly still be squabbling and generally behaving like watch nerds.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, guys. Take care.